All right, so the first thing you will see on the quiz will be what we did that first day, writing ratios 3 different ways. You guys remember that? Okay, we have this one. It was one of the tricky ones from that first lesson. So I'm going to show you this one. It says that we spend 20 minutes watching television then I spend 1 hour doing homework. Write the ratio of the amount of time watching television to the amount of time doing homework as a fraction in simplest form. So make sure to read carefully how they want you to set it up. It says television to homework. So we're going to put 20 minutes over 1 hour. Remember how to do this? How do I make this a fraction? I have to figure out what? How many minutes are in an hour? There's 60 minutes in an hour. If I had 2 hours right here, then I would multiply 2 times 60, right, to convert it. The top I do nothing with because it's already in minutes. I just changed them both to minutes. Now that they're both minutes, what can I do? Simplify. And that simplifies down to 1/3. And if you are having trouble simplifying fractions, use that fraction button. 20, AB over C, 60, hit equals, and it simplifies it for you. Okay? Okay, next question is just writing a unit rate, kilometers per hour. You guys remember how to make unit rates? We just kilometers, look at what it says here. Kilometers per hour means kilometers over hours. So 4212 over 6. And we're talking about kilometers per hour. Now this is a rate because our ratio has 2 different units of measurement. Distance and time. That's why it's a rate, not just a ratio, but it is a ratio. It's just a specific type of ratio. And how do I figure out a unit rate? What do I do? Chloe? Divide. 4212 divided by 6. Remember, that's what this also means, division. What do you get? And that is kilometers over hours, but I don't need that part, right? Because that's already there with our label. We just put in 702 right there. Remember that? Oh, yeah, I remember that. And then we got unit rate for eggs per hen. You just divide it out. Cost per pair of socks. And then we had one where you had 3 different unit rates. A 6-ounce package, a 14-ounce package, a 22-ounce package. So you have to find the unit rate of each and then tell me which one is the better buy. Remember that one? Yes? No? Remember, if I don't work something out that you want to work, see, holler at me. You want me to do that one? Is that what you said? All right, let's do it. We would go 228, 2.28 over 6. So divide that out. 2.28 divided by 6. What is it? So 38 cents per 1 ounce. The next one's 5.60 divided by 14 ounces. 0.4, so that's 40 cents per ounce. And then the last one, you just go 792 over 22. And what's that one? 0.36. So it's 36 per ounce. So which one's the best buy? This one is the cheapest. Then we had questions like this where it says a recipe is 9 cups of flour and 3/4 cup of milk. They want us to write this ratio as a fraction in simplest form. So they want us to write the, we gotta look carefully. It says flour to milk. So we're gonna put 9, because that's flour, over milk, 3/4. Do I have to convert anything here? No, because they're both in cups already, aren't they? Cups and cups. So we're good to go. We don't have to worry about that. I just got to make it a fraction. So how do I make I could put 9/1, but I don't need to. I just divide. This bar right here means division. So 9 divided by 3/4 on your calculator. So it's just 12. Well, that's nice. If it was a fraction, I would put it in there. I'm not going to put 12/1. I'm just going to put 12. All right. If it said write it as a ratio, then we would do 12/1. But it says as a simplified fraction. So simplified would be 12. Divide this out again to write it as a simplified fraction. Make sure you're reading carefully, because this is where they start to get a little tricky on question number 9. Remember, magazines is what they give us in pounds. Well, they want us to figure out what it is as pounds per magazine. So they gave us the numbers in a backwards order from what we're going to put them in. So don't always think you're going to put it in the same order. Does that make sense? So this one's going to be set up how? 3/8 over 4, right? Yep, and then you divide it out, just like we did that last one. Okay, and then we're doing miles per gallon. So just once, now we just got mixed numbers. We just set up and divide. And here is the tricky one, probably the hardest one on there. And so you might want to take some notes on this. We are going to do this one, yep. So let's say we are trying to figure out how many cups of ingredient B I will need. They say the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of ingredient A for 1 2/3 cup of ingredient B. So we are going to, and remember, we can set this up either way, A over B or B over A, but do you remember how I said to set it up when we did it? I said B over A because we are looking for B. So we want to set it up as B over A when you're looking for B. 1 2/3 then over 1/2, because 1 2/3 is B, 1/2 is A. A lot of people do not want to write this stuff out. They don't want to write the ratios like this. They want to just punch it in their calculator. And then they can't keep things lined up. They get confused on what goes where, what to do next. So what do I do now? Divide 1 2/3 divided by 1/2. Make it a unit rate. That's how we make a unit rate, right? Divide it out. What do we get when we divide? 3 1/3. That's 3 1/3 cups of B for every 1 cup of A. So now they're saying, how many cups of B will I need if I'm using 2 cups of ingredient A? So 2 is going to be on the bottom because it's A. How much B will I need? Well, how do I go from 1 to 2? Multiply by 2, right? How do I what do I do on top then? Multiply by 2. Remember, this is what we talked about yesterday, a proportion to equivalent ratios. So we got to figure out what factor we can multiply both the top and the bottom by. And that gives us, what, 6 2/3? That is what we put in the blank right there. Just the 6 2/3. because they want to know just how much B will I need. Does that make sense? You remember that? Now 12 is a tricky one because, and you got to check in to see if you're reading carefully. They want to know, right, the ratio of cups of pineapple juice to total number of cups. Not pineapple to orange, but pineapple to total. So make sure you're reading carefully on these. 13, writing a ratio in greater terms. Do you remember that? No? 4/9. If I punch that into my calculator using the fraction button, I go 4 AB over C 9 equals. Is that simplified? No. Yes, it is. So 4/9 is simplified. I like that. I like that because now I can go over to my answers and use the fraction button, simplify them, and see which one matches up. Does 7/12 simplify down to 4/9? No. 12 over 27. So punch that in. 12 divided by, or AB over C, 27. That does simplify down to 4/9. So that one is, what about 27 over 12? I don't even have to punch that in. It's improper. 4/9 is not improper. So you should know immediately these two won't be. So my answer is just B. You remember that now, don't you? Now in these last two questions, we are using proportional relationships like we did yesterday to fill in the table. All right, so there's telling us that the ratio of hybrids to total vehicles is proportional. It says the ratio for the 3 days are equivalent. That means they're proportional. So they want us to figure out how many hybrids there were on Saturday and total cars there were on Sunday. We're going to use this data they give us for Friday as our initial ratio. So I'm going 3 to 8 because I am putting hybrids over total vehicles. That equals then, I'm going to try and find Saturday's hybrids. So where is the 56 going to go on my next ratio if I'm setting up a proportion? Bottom. Because that 56 is total, and total is what we're putting on the bottom. Now, how do we solve an equivalent ratio, a proportion? You got to say 8 times what is 56, right? So you divided, and what is it? 7. So what do we do on top? Multiply by 7, and you get 21. So that means that, how many hybrids are there? 21. Now, we got to figure out Sundays. So we go back to the 3/8, and we're going to put a 27 in there. Where's the 27 going to go? On the top. And so how do we figure out the bottom? Total cars. 3 times 9 is 27. So 8 times 9 is. So on Sunday, there were 72 total cars. So essentially, it's 2 problems in one. We just have to set up proportions and solve them. Does that make sense? You remember what we did yesterday now? And then yesterday, you've got to finish filling in the table. Ratio, it says test score over hours studying. Write them as ratios down there. And then the last one says, is this a proportion? The number of slices of salami to calories. How do I know if it is a proportion? Divide them. Do you want to set them up as 1 over 46 or 46 over 1? 46 over 1 is the proper way, right? Because you should put y over x. So we're going to go 46 over 1. And then what is 68 over 2? Simplify that. What is that? 34 over 1, right? So now I can stop right there because look, 46 over 1 and 34 over 1, are they equal? No, so guess what? It's not proportional. And that's it. That's your quiz. So